Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to our final installment of our holiday cartridge talk series. Guys, I'm a little bit sad, but I do have to say, today's been a good day. I haven't even had to use my 8.6 BLK. That was inspired by Ice Cube. He said AK, though.
Oh.
I gotta say, today was a good day. No.
I have a question.
Have I flubbed it up?
No, I don't. I wouldn't know the reference. But this does beg a question mark. Just prior to this pushing of the go button, we were talking about your aspiring freestyle career and how talented he is. And I'm not even just blowing smoke.
You got to quit bringing this up.
I'm going to get you discovered, dude. I'm going to send you to the moon.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
And then people are going to be like, do it. And I'll be like, I can't. He made it up.
We're going to put all those unreleased pre-roll recordings that MC Ryan has on like Fiverr or something. I don't know.
You heard that intro. I even flubbed it up. I mixed up the words.
That's because that's what somebody else wrote. You need your own material.
Did you have that in mind prior to us talking about your preferred style of music? Or did that just come to you?
Yeah, just...
Where in relation to our conversation about mac and cheese and scallops did that hit your brain?
Right before. I had to come up with something.
Okay.
Guys, let's get back on track here.
Back on black?
And back on black with the 8.6 Blackout. I was doing some research. If you can hear that on my mic, that's my printouts.
That's a lot for one podcast.
I was watching some videos. It's a lot of cartridge. It's a lot of bullet.
It's watching videos. Take a paper.
Did you print the video?
Yeah, I printed the videos.
Frame by frame.
Every page is a
screenshots. I don't know what I need this cartridge for or would want it for, but it just is cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's shooting big bullets.
Grandes.
Like what, 210s to 350s, something like that?
160s to 400s.
Well, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Supersonics and subsonics. When I was looking at expanded bullets, like images of expanded bullets, like I don't know, like we talk about, like the example we have on the table, this is from Gorilla Ammunition. This is actually a 210 Barnes loaded in this thing. We often talk about like double diameter expansion, right? It looked like more than that to me. The petals come off. They look like airplane propellers.
You may have been looking at some of the other bullets on the market.
It wasn't this one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, some of them, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Mr. Mike at Grantham did a video on it, and they shot him into gel. Like, violent.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to make the claim that it is a violent cartridge.
The case itself spawned from our beloved, often maligned 6.5 Creedmoor.
Point of order. You know how Mark hates it when I say things, and he's like, maligned?
You say maligned a lot?
No, I don't. But Mark's never said the word maligned.
Oh. Yeah, maligned is definitely more of a U word.
It's a very...
That's like if there were 4 tiers, that's a tier 3.
Don't make maligned out...
You live in tier 4, Ryan.
Don't make maligned out to be part of
tiers.
Normal vernacular. Like common conversational word. That's not...
I think it is.
What's it?
Maybe like...
When's the last time you said maligned?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what, though? Good word, Mark.
I think it's weird to say that it comes from the 6.5 Creedmoor. Can you say that?
Well, it kind of does, yeah.
From my readings, it's a shortened, necked up 6.5 Creed.
Yep, that is correct. And in fact, the first time I saw mention of this cartridge, they called it I shouldn't say they because that would
them.
Yeah, people, not the folks over at Q, but people call it the 338 Creedmoor or the 8.6 Creed.
Really?
But it's shortened.
It is. Yeah, it's a shortened case.
Why don't you just call it like...
Well, they kind of call it their own thing, 8.6 Blackout.
Why don't you just call it the 338 308 Winchester?
Because it's shorter than that.
Shorter than what?
308.
Oh,
and
right.
that is
yeah.
cartridge.
But if you're going to call it the 338 Creedmoor, then you might.
Well, the 338-308, that's a 338 Federal.
Oh, and you like that?
Oh yeah. I'm going to grab it.
So that has a little bit more case capacity than this because it is in fact not shortened.
Not shortened. One of these guys.
You quite like the 338 Federal.
Quite indeed, James.
But it's more of an obscure cartridge. Doesn't have all the fanfare of the 330.
You know what, though?
Excuse me, the 8.6
I'm
Black.
here to bring it back. So bracketing our
Seems you are.
8.6 BLK cartridge here on the viewer's left will be the 6.5 Creedmoor. On the viewer's right will be the 308 Winchester. So, it is a modified 6.5 Creedmoor case. I believe that's how Mr. Brittingham arrived at the design. The novelty, would you like me to just go off?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah. Enlighten us.
So here's the novelty. You can take an SR-25 magazine and you can load that cartridge in there, firing a gigantic 33 caliber projectile. Appreciate no modification to the gun other than the barrel. So magazine works, bulk carrier group works, lower receiver works, upper receiver works. Different barrel and potentially gas system depending on how it's being run. And you get AR-10 performance with a huge smattering of bullet weights from 160 to, like I said, up to 400 on some of the more eclectic loadings I've seen. From a suppression standpoint, especially when you get into the heavies, wow. That's the super cool part about it.
I would encourage anybody to look this up.
Yeah.
Watch a vid after listening to this, of course, because granted, it's like you're seeing it secondhand, but it translates through the screen and you're like, that is quiet.
Oh yeah. Nobody who shoots one of those on video is like, that's cool. Everybody's like, oh.
They're stunned at how quiet it is. And then also, like, when it was hitting the gel block, stunned at the sound it was making on impact.
Yeah. You should also have a 300 AAC up here as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is
a
significant talking point. So here's the thing. Is its utility only sequestered to that of the AR-10 platform?
I've never seen it in an AR-10.
Oh, yeah. So Q just dropped a gun called the Boombox, which their naming conventions, on point.
I do think their names are
on point.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
So Q just dropped, like, what, an AR-10-ish type thing?
Yep. It's called a Boombox. Little short AR-10, squared up around the 8.6 BLK.
Is it, what kind of AR-10 is it?
High end. Lux.
No, I mean, is it like a DPMS type, an SR-25 type? Is it the other type?
Fall into the SR-25-ish pattern.
Yeah.
Q's own flare.
Right. So now there's 4 AR-10s.
Yeah, not different from a operating system standpoint.
Oh, okay.
Just so standardization within or with respect to the like the magazine, for instance, that's a big goofy thing.
I respect what I didn't realize, I guess, when they come out with it, because all you saw it in was the fix.
Yeah.
And so then it seemed, seeing it in mostly just the fix and then some people's custom bolt guns and stuff like that started making it seem like it was more of this proprietary, you got to have the right stuff type thing. But saying that, yeah, you could put it in that type of magazine and run it through an AR-10, that is pretty cool. And it makes sense based on its case lineage and ancestry.
Absolutely. The fix, from a firearm standpoint, it is the antithesis of anything that I enjoy in guns, because it's cold and it's a chassis kind of gun and has it's ugly for me, right? But it is such a marvelous departure from conventional design that I am so gravitated towards it.
Well, and then I was going to ask, like, in your opinion, functional, practical, things like that.
Absolutely, yes. Super cool gun. Super cool gun. The moment I saw a Q fix, it was actually the bolt handle that was the most appealing to me. Before I even saw the action open on one, I said, oh my God, they took the Merkel KR1 and they made it cool, which is kind of what they did. Super neat gun. Cartridges, it should be allowed to be chambered in 8.6 BLK, absolute top of the list. Just because it's such a beautiful marriage. It's such a lightweight, tiny little folding attaché case gun. that fires an absolute behemoth of a cartridge. And its flexibility with the supers or the subs is so novel, so neat.
I hated the fix until someone handed me one.
They're neat. Yep. Then you're like, oh, that's cool.
It's kind of the same thing as when you see, if you ever seen someone famous and you're like, why are they so small?
Yeah.
And it was that.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, it was in videos and pictures and it was larger than life. And then someone handed me one and I'm like, where's the rest of it?
Yep.
And then I realized.
It's petite gun.
And then I realized it was cool.
Yeah. So another really interesting thing about this chambering is that a lot of the guns it comes with a ridiculous twist rate. 1 in 3.
So that's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only gun that I'm aware of with a 1 in 3.
Yes. 1 in 3 or 1 in 5. There's some 1 in 5 offerings now too, but 1 in 3.
Well, and then I was watching one video and they made a reference to that they thought it actually might perform better accuracy wise with a 1 and 2, but they went with the 1 and 3.
Sure.
I mean, 1 and 2, my Lord.
Yeah. Reports from the field, folks I know that have, we'll just use a Q-Fix because I don't know anybody who's got a boombox yet. And again, it's just, I love the fact that it's called a boombox.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculously accurate, like match grade accuracy in subsonic or super. And a lot of times you can't have both. Like I've put together some 300 AACs. I've got a 300 AAC. You and I have shot that gun.
Mm-hmm.
It shoots okay subsonic. It shoots wonderfully supersonic. Okay subsonic.
Mine shoots pretty good both, but I would agree that that's not always the case.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, from use case standpoint, I guess if you're using your subs in a professional capacity, maybe around the farm, how accurate do you think you need it to be to shoot the distances you intend on shooting?
Depends on who you ask. Childhood friend of mine went on to have a career in, how do I best describe this? He shoots deer professionally at an unbelievable frequency. So he goes to a lot of contracts through cities, like city governments, military bases and installations, airports, and he does nuisance wildlife control.
Okay.
And some of the places that he has to shoot deer, discretion is paramount because he might be in Central Park. He might be in Martha's Vineyard. He might be on Staten Island. He might be on an air base and like 0.0 noise. Accuracy is extremely important because he can't flub a shot either.
Right.
So he and I have talked quite a bit about the terminal performance values of subs. His experience prior to cartridges like the 8.6 being mostly either 308 subsonic or 300 AAC, he's never loved them because they lack a fair amount at the sub level. Part of that is bullet technology, and then part of that may also be caliber. That's a bit more debatable, but bullet technology is a big one. So a functioning subsonic bullet is a pretty rare thing. Mm-hmm. There's a few bullets that are out there that market subsonic terminal performance, where that bullet actually deploys and does bullet-like things at these very anemic velocities. The jury is out on some of them. I had a chance to be present for a couple of cut-aparts, and you're like, oh, what was the shot distance? It's like, 36 yards, and then you extract a bullet, and it's like this long because it's heavy for caliber, and the nose cone's got a little bend to it, and it came to rest on like a pelvis. And ultimately, that's what stopped the bullet, and the deer made it 130 yards. If we can go with a higher mass projectile, and it's really, 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 really engineered to do low velocity expansion things, and you have all that weight behind it to assist in that, because mass will help, depending on your projectile design, with deployment of your bullet, like its nose cone.
Well, additionally, it sounds like that high twist rate aids in expansion as well.
Yes, and that's kind of the double whammy with this chambering. And when that started being talked about, it wasn't even in the subsonic pallet that I was very interested in. It was the specifically 210 grain Barnes TTSX. This is a TSX variant, but the TTSX and some prelim field tests that had been done on large bovine, Cape buffalo, and Asiatic water buffalo. And that bullet out of that gun at that velocity doing things that when you look at it on paper, you're like, probably shouldn't have worked as well as it did. Like, there are people who have killed pachyderms with 22 long rifle. That's a happy accident, in my opinion. That's not something you routinely pull off. But to go out and stomp a fair number of these large critters and do pretty darn good documentation of shot distance, angle of attack, penetration, recovery from impact, and kind of like lay it out. It's like, okay, there seems to be some sort of magic sauce with this 1 in 3 twist. Now, I've never done it myself. I can't really speak to it, but the math all works out. If we spin it that fast, we're getting some additional force at work on the front end of that bullet, and it seems to have some sort of additional force at play inside of a thoracic cavity, which is maybe where that extra comes from.
That extra, they're calling it the blender effect.
Yeah. Which
aptly named.
I think it's real. Shooting mono bullets, by and large, that's something that I think I have seen.
With some of the videos I was watching, the permanent wound cavity through the gel, you could tell it was a 1 in 3 twist with some of them.
Sure. Yep, because you're seeing the spiralization, and it's like there's like a coring effect that's happening.
Why is it that a 1 in 3 twist is so it was so shocking when
polarizing.
They did that?
I mean,
polarizing effect. Because I guess the question is just sort of like, why hadn't that been explored in in a more, well, I don't know, why hadn't that been explored previously enough to the point that people weren't so floored when they saw it?
So
now,
a challenge with a super fast twist rate is what happens to bullets if they're not built to handle it. So just like a road tire is not made for track conditions or track speeds, because it'll literally spin itself apart. A bullet does the same, can do the same. So if you took a very thin jacketed bullet and you subjected it to the RPMs that you would, like if its normal window was between, say, a 1 in 8 and 1 in 10, and you gave it a 1 in 6, depending on the velocity that you pushed it, you could have catastrophic jacket separation basically the moment it left the muzzle or shortly thereafter.
Right.
I think this is like a 500,000 RPM, right?
I'm not smart enough to do the calculation, but yeah, I mean, that seems right.
Let me see if I got it in here.
I bet it's in there somewhere, Mark. We'll tune in tomorrow when Mark finds his...
If this was in a digitized form, Mark could just simply hit Control F and then type in 500.
Yeah, but we would never... Yeah.
It would never work.
Yeah. The printouts are as much it's all part of the show.
If I find that, if I find it, I'll put it in the copy block.
Well, thanks.
So backing up to twist rate, it's not that we've never had a need for a 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 twist. It's that we may have not had the right pairing, projectile, like entertained performance objective, and then like the whole picture of the weapon system. So because the thought process, I think, was a potential subsonic application that could spin stabilize a very heavy for caliber bullet. So a 300 or a 350 grain 33 caliber bullet's very heavy for caliber. 400 in some of the more eclectic loadings is super duper duper heavy. We needed to be able to spin stabilize that. I believe that the folks over at Q had their thinking caps on when they thought, okay, if we're running into a failure with bullet deployment at subsonic velocities and traditional twist rates, and we modify a variable, and that is twist rate, we're keeping the velocity constant, and we see success, obviously it's working, right? We're getting these super tough, super heavy bullets to deploy as we would expect a bullet to deploy in supersonic application, and we're achieving it with twist rate. That's the merit of the design, right? If you stuff the right light or standard weight bullet in it, so i.e. 160 Barnes, 185 Barnes, the CX bullets from Hornady, the 210 Barnes, either TSX as depicted here or TTSX, not shown. that bullet can hold integrity through that cycle of RPMs at supersonic velocity, and now you're just doubling down, potentially, the terminal performance. If you subscribe to the twist rate makes a difference while that bullet is in the critter. Because that's contested. People are like, nah, it doesn't make a bit of difference. You get one more rotation over this much distance.
Well, I also wonder if that is amplified, right? You go from maybe a 1 in 10 to a 1 in 8. Maybe not so much. A 1 in 10 to a 1 in 3. Maybe that's significant.
Could be. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah. I'm in the camp of I think things spinning while holding together through a critter makes a difference versus things hitting, coming apart, and stopping rotation.
I guess if you only look at it as how many rotations would occur within the confines of said animal, then yeah, you would think that it would make a huge enough difference. But then when you also consider how much rotational force is happening on that bullet in order to get it to the point where it's spinning enough that it would actually have one more rotation through the animal.
Exponential.
That can't be denied.
Yes.
Now, if you had a bullet that was maintaining its shape, its bullet pre-impact shape, and it was spinning one more time, I guess then that wouldn't make a difference. But when it's got that grabby, shardy, blendery shape to it, and it's doing that, that's a tremendous amount of
leverage
and energy and things yeah.
Yep.
It was 500,000.
Nice.
Good job.
Sir. That's fast.
It's a cool cartridge. I ask myself, Mark, what would you need that for?
What don't you need that for, Mark?
I don't know.
I gotta ask. I gotta beg the question because now when this releases, like the 338 arc will have been well out. It is out even now as we're recording it. 338 bullet also. Supposedly, in terms of the marketing and the pizzazz to it, they almost seem like they're direct competitors, and you could sort of choose one or the other.
Sure.
That's my interpretation of those two cartridges. That they're vying, they're jockeying for kind of the same position in your arsenal.
Right. Similar, definitely different. One of those differences being twist rate.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at is the twist rate. And so Hornady is advertising a subsonic loading that says it does terminal blendy things at subsonic velocities, but somehow they've figured out a way to do it with a more traditional twist rate.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, maybe there was other ways to accomplish this without just twist rate. They pulled a few other strings, or played with a few other variables. And so I find that very curious because, I guess I find that very curious. Like, is there something about 1 in 3 twist rate? Let's say, like, if you got a rifle with a 1 in 3 twist rate barrel, these are some of the questions that come to mind. Is there a slimmer margin for error with a 1 in 3 twist rate barrel? Like, I better make sure I get a really good one because if I got like a cheaper barrel with a 1 in 3 twist rate, maybe there's so much force that's happening there that it would kablooey in my face. Or, it better be cut well because if you get a slight little burr somewhere in the barrel or something like that with a 1 in 3 twist rate, it's the effects will be.
It's going to compromise the integrity of what's going.
Are 1 in 7, 1 in 8, up to 1 in 10, 1 in 12, are those barrels somehow more forgiving? And so then, like, these are the questions that I ask. Or is it literally just, oh no, we've been able to cut 1 in 3 barrels since the dawn of rifling, and we just didn't do it because bullet technology wasn't there. And with this particular round, the 8.6 Blackout, bullet technology was there. They decided to go the twist rate route to get subsonic bullets to expand. But then also, there was a way that we could have done it with 1 in 8 barrels. Does it make sense that something isn't quite adding up in my head?
I think maybe a question that you're asking is, one, is there conflict with 1 in 3 that 1 in 8 solves? Right?
Yeah, like was there a reason that
risk
that Hornady was very specifically like, oh no, we're going to stick with a more standard 1 in 8, but we're still going to accomplish these things with a 338 bullet that goes subsonic and still does terminal things.
Can I speculate?
I would love that. Yeah.
I speculate they don't have a bullet in their pallet made out of a copper or copper alloy in a mass range that would function in the 338 arc. They do have a bullet technology in their pallet, Sub X, that it is heavy for caliber. They're 33, but it's a cup and core, and it probably wouldn't do well in a 1 in 3, but did well in a 1 in 8. And so, yeah, and that's fine. I don't know that there's anything wrong with a 1 in 8 or 1 in 3. Excuse me. I mean, it's aggressive, but we've shot 1 in 8 30 caliber with huge bullets. Big 30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot going on inside of a gun barrel. That little burr, whether it was a 1 in 3 or 1 in 10, there's a lot going on inside of a gun barrel upon detonation.
Right.
But I'm speculating at best. I'm guessing it has to do with the bullet technology that they have done really well with. That at super velocities may not be a great idea, but also may not be necessary. Like maybe it's an over-index to go to 1 in 3, and it's like covering extra bases that didn't need to be, or perhaps were redundant. And then the performance values realized maybe weren't huge. And so is it wasteful to go with a 1 in 3? I don't know. I mean,
you definitely have to be mindful of the projectiles.
Correct.
And really probably only, I guess if you were hand loading, you'd need, manufacturers are loading bonded or
solids.
Monolithic bullets.
Yeah. Speculation.
Is it only out of the 8.6 Blackout with the 1 in 3 twist? Is it only bonded or monolithic bullets that people are shooting out of them? They're not shooting any cup and core out of these at all?
Not out of a 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. For reasons aforementioned.
But okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So my speculation then is that Hornady with the 338 arc felt they could open up the bullet palette a little bit more by slowing the twist rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now you could load a 338 arc with basically any bullet that you want.
Yep. And probably appreciate performance.
Okay, but maybe you're just not getting some of the psychedelic stuff that you get with a 1 in 3 and doing, some of the crazy 8.6 Blackout stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, I can remember when, like, I had a 260 before I had a 6.5 Creedmoor, and the conventional twist in the 260 was 9. That was an abysmal failure. 8 was like, oh my God, that's fast. And now I know guys with 7 twist 6.5s, and they're like, oh, it's perfect. It's just perfect. I'm seeing twists get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and not seemingly having terrible negative effect on it. So,
is it more expensive to do a 1 in 3 twist? Like, I
don't think so.
What's the word I'm trying to think of? Are the tolerances tighter? Okay.
I think that's
this was all stuff that came to my mind though, because it was like, so why don't I see it more? You know what I mean?
This has been really the first step. I mean, the fastest twist I'd ever seen before that was a 6.5, and that was on this crazy eclectic Wildcat.
Yeah.
And the objective was some sort of crazy long range thing.
Yeah.
And it was custom barrel, custom rifled, 1 of 1 kind of deal, and 1 in 7 would have been the conventional or commercially available fast twist for anything caliber regardless, right?
I mean, I'm totally interjecting here, but Jim, it could be because if it's not needed for a lot of cartridges and you're not getting anything out of it,
right?
Then why subject the bullet to potential additional stress or to additional stress that may or may not manifest into something?
We got to be careful with getting anything out of it, because I think there's something there. I think that you rip that thing a few more revs, you get some bonus material.
Okay. Wait. Let me ask if this is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Let's say we exist in a perfect world where we don't have to worry about the bullet flying apart for some reason. Do you think that if we kept making, like with your 6.5 Creeds, your 308s, your 300 Winchester, Win Mags, if we made those twist rates just faster, just kept hitting the minus button on the keyboard, that things would be better, provided we didn't have to worry about the bullet flying apart.
Application dependent. Example.
Okay.
You can take through the Geoballistics app and model your cartridge. And the only variable that you modify is twist rate.
Oh, yeah, you actually can do that in that case.
Downrange, you will see a significant increase in spin drift.
Spin drift.
With increase in twist rate. So if your application was super long range, and let's say you had a tune system with a 1 in 10, or Mark, your great example, you've got a 9 twist 300 WISM.
Mm-hmm.
You could go faster. You go to 8, wouldn't hurt nothing, right? Except when you're at that long range, you have to account for said spin drift in your ouch, my knee, correction. I hurt myself yesterday. You have to account for that in your long range equation on top of wind drift, if it's there. So there's a detractor, I suppose. What is the application of 8.6 Black? Not 1,000 yards.
Absolutely. Correct.
Application for 8.6 Black is massive terminal subsonic performance, something the 300 Blackout was okay at best at doing. And so if I'm like being super honest, like take these other two cases off the block here real quick. There's your competition. 300 AAC is a cool cartridge, right? It is in its subsonic form, movie quiet. In its terminal form and subsonic, meh.
Not movie deadly.
No. Meh. It requires some pretty good shot placement, careful projectile selection, shot angles, etc. We overcome some of those challenges with mass diameter twist rate, 8.6 Black, and then bullet construction, potentially. In the supersonic form, 300 AAC is okay. You know,
we tested it the other day at deer camp. It was as loud as your 308.
Yep.
Both shot through cans.
Yep. Bear in mind, that's a 110 grain loading at 2200-ish.
Out of the
300 AAC.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 210 grain loading at 2300-ish. So
difference.
100 grains of mass at the same velocity. Now, here's where the big argument comes in. Well, you got to use an AR-10. And sometimes that's valid. AR-10s are huge. Boomboxes are tiny for AR-10s. Now, they're also super eclectic and specialized. Like, it's not an inexpensive gun. It's not a buy it at Palmetto State Armory at this time. So you've got to say, yeah, if I want an AR-10 chambered in that, I want it to be light and svelte, you got to buy a boombox. And they're expensive. But they are light, they are svelte, they look really cool, and the fit and finish on those guns, everything that they make at that facility at Q is bonkers. Really good looking guns. The proprietary nature is no better or worse for either of them. So technically with your 300 AAC, barrel change, right?
Technically.
Yeah.
You mean versus the 223 counterpart?
Yeah.
I would definitely hope you get a barrel change.
Yeah, I mean that'd be the only thing that'd be the only thing you
10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Having seen what happens when 300 AAC goes off in a 223 firsthand, yeah, definitely.
We saw it firsthand. We just saw the wire cut EDM barrel that our friend from ADM brought in, whose name is suddenly escaping me, and I'm gonna totally catch some flack for that.
Tom.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Why did I keep thinking he was a J name?
You totally
I added the
if you
swoop onto the bottom of the T.
Why were you able to translate? Because you couldn't remember it, then I felt all this pressure to remember it, and then I blanked.
And then you forgot it too?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. We
just got an email from Tom the other day.
We remember you.
I saw Tom the other day. Yeah, the gun went nuclear. It vaporized. Like bits and pieces. So yeah, you need to change your barrel. You might need to change your magazine too.
Correct. You should also change your barrel if you have an AR-10 and you want to go to 8.6.
That's right. But you shouldn't have to change your magazine. That's the cool talking point. But moot, right? So they end up being kind of the same. Better subsonic terminal performance than 300 AAC. Plus, its supersonic performance is just astronomically better than 300 AAC. So if you're looking for Hollywood quiet And you might want to shoot deers with supersonic performance or pigs or whatever it is that you hunt or shoot. The 8.6 Black offers you a force multiplier there. Tough one for me to get behind, though, personally, from a cartridge standpoint, because I don't want Hollywood movie quiet, or I should say need. I mean, it's cool, but
It's really cool.
it is, but I mean, I'm not doing clandestine stuff.
I know what you're saying.
So
If you can shoot a deer, an antelope, whatever it is,
Yep.
not have your ears ringing, hear the impact, who cares how many decibels it was?
a couple years ago, when I was very new to suppressors, I was pursuant of that quietness.
Yeah.
Then I realized it just kind of doesn't exist unless you stack on top of baffles, more baffles, and more baffles, and more baffles. And then you get into these, little fun cartridges. You just can't do it with a 30-06 or 308 or a 6.5 or whatever. It just doesn't.
No.
It's
And
not.
you just need to nip the bite.
So for me, what I said, okay, do I want that bullet diameter in my pallet? Yes, I already have it in a different cartridge, different application. But I want something that's light, that's nimble, that's handy, that's powerful, that's makeable from common components. It's 338 Federal.
Right.
I'm never going to shoot super duper subsonic. I'm going to shoot supersonic. And I'm going to do it in 338 Federal because then I got even more ballistic performance than 8.6 Black. Different critter, different application. 8.6 Black plays in two different camps. I just want a hunting rifle.
One of these days, Ryan, you're gonna wish. You're gonna wish, like, here's how I picture it. You're in a culvert. Troops are marching by on the road. I'm not saying what country.
Is there water in the culvert?
I'm not saying what country they're from. You have fashioned yourself some sort of a gilly, brushy, just covering, and you're waiting for someone to say the table is against the wall or whatever it is. And that's when you jump up from your culvert.
Oh, like in his earpiece, you mean?
I don't know.
With my Uber suppressed system.
Mm-hmm. You start picking them off one by one.
That may be. That may be. I think I personally would be the one to. They've crossed the threshold.
Oh, you're more of a light 'em on fire kind of guy?
Kind of, yeah.
That's fair.
Way more effective, I think. I don't know. Never been there.
Still need to use the term the table is against the wall, in my opinion.
Never heard that.
Isn't that from Red Dawn?
Never seen it.
Whew, double tap there.
You double tap that sneeze that fast?
Yeah.
Can I talk
Excuse
about
me.
why this cartridge is cool too? Another thing.
Yeah.
One custom, people say bless you when somebody sneezes.
Well, it's just more impressive that you got two off. Sorry, I had
Yeah.
to compliment you rather than bless you,
Well-
but bless you.
Well,
So people have asked me, I was like, well, wait a minute. Why don't we just make subsonic 338 Federal? Great question. Valid. Okay. Magazine length is a big part of it. So if I take, say, a 300 grain Sierra Match King and I put it in a 338 Federal case, it doesn't work if I want to run it in an SR25 magazine.
Right.
Or, for that matter, most short action bolt guns. You got to seat that rascal out a little bit further. And then you're dealing with a larger case volume than is necessary to make a subsonic loading. And if you've ever worked with subsonics, you'll run into this fun little Easter egg where if you have too much case volume and this diminutive amount of powder, things go glonky real quick.
Yeah, you go from like slow and quiet, slow and quiet, slow and quiet to explosion.
Yeah. I've seen it twice. Same guy, same gun.
The gun survived the first one?
Yeah. The magazine and floor plate did not, nor did the extractor or ejector.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So by cropping the case to this, I'm not going to call it the minimum dimension, but a minimized dimension,
Smaller.
you can reap the benefit of heavy for caliber subs and not give up a hell of a lot on supers because we still have enough case capacity to get that 210 going 23 and change, which is nothing to, or even faster depending on the application and the loading practice. If you step down to the 165s or the 160, TTSX, those suckers are moving. I think they're like 2750.
And that's still a big bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Because a 308 150 class bullet is not that much faster. And
so 6.5 Creed bullet isn't
not that fast.
that much.
No,
Yeah.
No. And so really intelligent case design. It's one I think is quite endearing. Immediately when I saw it, I'd be like, oh, other cartridges in that same size, flavor, and vein, 6 GT. Not that much smaller than that. You have 6.5, small, smaller 6.5 by 47. It's not quite that small, but I've never actually measured an 8.6 black case to know what its case dimension is, just standalone. But really smart little case.
I'm surprised. I understand when you say that you just want a hunting rifle and you don't care about moving quiet. I completely get that.
Yeah.
I'm still. I know, I'm not surprised. But everybody has this idea in their head of one gun for everything, even though it's a silly idea. Because everybody who has that idea is enough of a gun enthusiast to realize, or should be enough of a gun enthusiast to realize, that they want more than one gun.
100%.
Nobody actually wants to own only one gun.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gross.
Sorry for even saying that.
John Moses Browning and Jesus
suggesting.
just went okay.
I just said, okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying.
The lightning bolt just like retracted back into
It did.
the sky.
It was halfway through the ceiling.
Heading right for you.
So, but with this cartridge, I mean, depending on what load you drum up for it, you can do a lot. Like you can have movie quiet, okay, can just be fun just because it's fun. Even if you don't have a practical application for it. But then you snooze it up and boom, okay, yeah, I got a deer gun. So, I mean, it does a lot of things in one case that not a lot of other cartridges out there can actually say that they can do. In fact, I don't know of any. I mean, because we talked about the 300 AAC, and it really, at Subsonic, it's kind of more of a toy.
Yep.
That isn't
so like
that
nothing,
is an interesting point, Jim.
Nothing else
interesting point.
Has ever really been that vast in what it can do.
Agreed. That's a very good point of distinction. Agreed. Movie quiet and super duper powerful. You're right.
Which is really profound. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Just when you think we've seen every cartridge ever already. Like trying to imagine up a new cartridge and oh nope, somebody already made it.
Yep.
Somebody comes out with this. And funny enough, it's like, oh yeah, 6.5, shorten it up, neck it up. But you do that, and all of a sudden you realize, whoa, twist a barrel 1 and 3, and we've got ourselves a gun that can do damn near anything.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not going to be your long range bomber.
Oh, excuse me. You're right. Yep. No, the PRS guys.
But from
they were recalling that lightning bolt, getting it ready. But
from a
utility
standpoint, like survival / whatever.
Yeah.
You could do a lot with it. When I asked the question earlier, like, what do I need it for? For what I do, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I would circle back and go, well, I'll just get a 308 with a can, right? But I think this does serve a role. Like, most of the stuff that I was reading was putting it into, like a hunting context.
Yep.
Which I think certainly you could do. Like, no question.
Oh, hell
It's not solving a problem that I have, though, for that role.
Yeah.
You should try hunting suppress sometime.
Where I see it shining, and I guess, I mean, I don't really do any of this, but my Lord, like if you were like shooting bad guys, like interior, and didn't want a ton of muzzle blast and sound, and I mean, you're hitting dudes with a big pill.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to pack a big boy.
And that's just like click. I mean, the steel was louder than the round.
It's silly. It's silly.
Yeah.
And then you think of like, well, you're not even shooting steel.
Correct.
I haven't seen many really, maybe it's just because of the brand that this is associated with and the fact that the brand primarily comes out with firearms that are aluminum and cold and, stuff like you don't like in terms of the fact that it doesn't have wood.
Marvelous
involved.
Design in the Q fix.
I know. I'm not getting at that you don't like it because you don't think it's good, but from a character standpoint, it doesn't have the woody quality that you enjoy.
Not enough grain.
No, not enough grain. So anyway, so I'm saying with the 8.6 Blackout, it seemed perhaps because of that when it came out, it was more of this like tactical cartridge.
Sure.
You know, come out with the 6.8 Western fairly recently. No one was touting that as like a tactical cartridge. That was a hunting cartridge. So you come out with the 8.6 Blackout, especially with the name, it seems more tactical. There have been other cartridges that have come out that have been kind of these more tactical things. I don't think it's been since and I don't even know if it really was the case when it initially came out or if it just became something that the cartridge was known for. It hadn't been since like the 6.8 SPC that I've seen so much talk around using the cartridge in hunting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times just sort of like, oh yeah, this thing is tactical. It's for when you're kicking doors and you're shooting bad guys. And it's like everyone gets all hyped about it. And 5% of the people watching the video are actually going to do any of that. And the other 95% are just like, they think it's cool. This one, they actually showed
hunting.
Right.
Hunting.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that I actually found pretty neat.
Yes. I agree.
And that's a little bit more of the, I think, like putting your money where your mouth is, where it's like, okay, yeah, you know, let's show you the people who are going to use it to kill cervids and other things like that. I'm going to show you it in action for that use case as well.
Yeah.
And how it does great.
I really do think it is a marvelous cartridge. I don't need the flexibility that it offers.
Yeah.
Which in the sub range is better than 338 Federal. Indisputable. And in the sub range, better than 338 ARC, although my experience with 338 ARC is reading so far and watching a couple videos. Because it'll handle a much larger 33 caliber bullet made out of a different material, which I'm comfortable with at this point in time. Everything else I speculate on 338 ARC. Haven't had a chance to touch one yet. I don't need that flexibility. I would prefer the supersonic capability of the round. And I can get a little bit more out of it without having to trim cases, without having to step size. I don't think I'd have to neck turn.
You're talking about the 338 Federal, right?
Versus 8.6 Black. Yeah. And so like my decision for Federal comes from convenience and, well, it's mostly convenience. I have an untold sum of 308 Winchester brass. That is one pass through the sizer. And I have 338 Federal. I'd have to do a little bit more effort on the side of 8.6 Black to arrive at this. I think it'd be a darling cartridge. And if you're cool with it, or if you just want to shoot the stuff that comes in the box, like Mark likes, you can do that now. You can buy that stuff. It's for sale. And you could rebarrel the following rifles, all of them, to 8.6 Black. So, in fact, the other day I was ordering up some barrels for me and the boys, and I hovered my cursor over chambering 8.6 BLK. I thought, no, 338 Fed. And that was that.
I don't know why I was off it for a while. Maybe because it started to become like popular and I'm just, I like weird stuff. But I'm kind of back on it.
It's a super cool cartridge. I know you'd like that whisper quiet business.
Yeah. I just like it. It's fun.
Yes, it's a hoot.
It genuinely is fun.
You know what, though? It's not a hoot, though.
You do need a 330. It's a hoot.
When I was watching the videos, it was like it was making me smile.
Yeah. Because it's ding.
Right.
I do need to get the right can then.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff is 30 cal.
That's a challenge. That's a big thing holding me back.
Getting can is a challenge. If you're Mark Boardman, it's a challenge. If you're one of us, you just add to cart, buy, and then wait.
What I've come to like a particular format in a suppressor. And part of this is ignorance because I just haven't tried them all. But I'm liking a particular style. There's a few out there that solve that problem immediately.
When you say style, do you mean a make and model, or do you mean a style as
weight,
in weight and
size,
length? And
yeah. The rugged Alaskan 360 tie is the perfect suppressor. It is so expensive. I'm just not going to
do you even have one?
No.
That is a really cool suppressor. They're pretty proud of that one.
Yeah. There's no way. I could build the whole gun plus another suppressor for the cost of that suppressor. It's damn good. They did a good job. Know a couple guys that have them. It's the only can they'll run. They have other cans. They just don't even touch them.
Really?
Yep. Because it's just perfect. So I'm kind of hedging a bet that a particular suppressor brand that I really like is going to make a 33 caliber variant, or if they really want to do it up, like a 375.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure. That'll cover your bases.
That'll cover every base I ever had.
Yeah.
Except for muzzle loaders, which that in itself is a whole different discussion. But yeah. So
it's not lightweight, but I suppose I could shoot through my Wolfman.
Yep. Because that's 9-bore. Actually, I think it's 375 3-bore on those things. I think they give you like extra room.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Because they anticipate those Kalashnikov threads being a little glonky. But yeah, so that's the other hiccup. It's that dang bore diameter not being so standard yet. Get a lot of 30 caliber cans, not a lot of 33 caliber cans, not without going to a giant format.
Yeah.
Except that Alaskan tie. Man. Oof.
Or you go to Rex and you just have them make you one.
True. And they actually end up reasonably light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
good looking.
Cool color.
Yeah. Good looking can. But I hope this one is here to stay. I do. I think it solves a problem. I hope that it gets into, we're seeing micro cartridges all the rage right now, right? So you have your palette of arcs, and I'm sure there'll be probably even some more there. 6GT was just commercialized. 6 Dasher, very popular cartridge in the PRS communities, and for all the right reasons, like solutions that are not in excess. Make just for me that like tickles something inside of me that I really enjoy. Solutions that are not in excess.
It's the same part of your brain that enjoys tiny camp cookware.
Bingo. Thank you, Jim. You have just tied that frayed end in my neural synapse. And that cartridge is pretty much it. It's a very, very smart
It's a little
round.
tiny camp stove.
Yep. That can boil a big pot of water.
Yes.
In a hurry. Yeah. So I do hope it sticks around. I really do. I hope that you see it in a conventional format rifle. And I'm not saying, throw it in the next Winchester Model 70 or.
Who's most likely to pick it up in a conventional, like mass-produced rifle first? I have a thought.
I would say Bergara or Savage.
Oh.
My thought was Ruger.
Probably not.
You don't think so? They've always been quick to pick stuff up in the American.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I mean,
Well, even Mark agrees with me this time.
They seem to lead some trends.
I don't think so.
Early adopters of things.
When the 5.7 kind of came back on scene, they made themselves a little 5.7 Charger pistol. When 6.5 Creedmoor came on scene, that American got the 6.5 Creed very fast, and I got one of the first ones.
I think there's some relationships that dictate that. I don't think so.
At some point, though, if this thing really takes off.
I don't have the scuttlebutt on
Yeah,
that.
I don't either. If this thing really takes off at some point, you'd think.
And I hope it does. I'd love to see this in hunting camps. Because I'll tell you what.
You might see it next year. I'm going to do my part to keep this around.
Talk to anybody who's, especially in like the Northeast, anybody who's killed a pile of deer. And I'm not talking like, yeah, he's killed. Like I'm talking about those old boys who are like, yeah, I killed my 171th whitetail this year. A lot of 358 Winchesters. 35 Whalens. 338 Federals. 338 Marlin Express. 356 Winchester. 338-06.
And I'm sure a lot of 308s and 06s and 270s.
Certainly. But, one of the coolest rifles that ever existed, never existed. And that was a Bobby Hart rebarreled Remington 7600 and 35 Whelen. That was a deer stomping machine. And there is a magic unlocked when you get over that 30 caliber bore diameter in reasonable velocity and reasonable case size. Still manageable, absolute powerhouse. It's like shooting a Volkswagen at him.
You know what I don't like? I don't think I like the name.
8.6 Black?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, but like...
Very mechanized.
It's mechanized. Can you imagine
what would you want it to be?
Can you imagine if, say, and this is never going to happen. I keep doing this thing where I buy a gun. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep this gun forever, and it's going to be this heirloom that I pass down. Yeah, it's like now it's just one of however many are in the safe. But can you imagine if it's like, oh yeah, look at this old boy. He's been killing them with this gun for years, decades, in fact. You're like, what's he shooting out of it? 8.6 Blackout. That doesn't sound as cool as like something with Express in the name, or
that's true,
or 338 Federal, or
Old Souls, James.
338-06.
It's a different.
Those sound cooler.
That's where
those
I go.
Sound more iconic.
It appears to me to be marketed very much towards hunting. Very tactical name.
How is 8.6 BLK different than 6.5 PRC?
Yeah, but
100%
it's different.
of the letters are different.
James,
he's got you there.
How many syllables? What's the letter, number, and digit count? Identical.
Well, there's
it's the same format.
There's 6.
There's 6. Yes.
They stand for different things.
They do. Not a lot of people know what PRC stands for.
Does it not just stand for precision rifle cartridge?
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that.
I knew that.
When I hear PRC, I just already know it's for long range boys.
Why?
Because it was preceded by 6.5, and PRC, just anytime I hear P in the name, it just sounds like it's for guys like Scott Parks.
Social engineering.
When I hear B, maybe not the L, but the K, these things elicit tactical images in my mind.
Could be. Good point. Naming convention has killed many cartridges.
And I don't think it'll do it for this cartridge, because a lot of people are really excited about, like they got excited about the 300 Blackout. That stayed around, obviously, and then, but it's just, if I got it in a gun that was like, yeah, this is Pappy's old rifle. Oh, what's it chamber in? 8.6 Black. Like I said, I think it's going to be an instant.
Real quick, going back to twist rate.
Yo.
Because it does stand out and creates buzz, right? Buzz translates to marketing, people talking about it, whether they think it's good or bad, or you know what I mean? Like it's a talking point. We've talked about it at length today. Right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, do we think that 1 in 3 twist rate will help or hurt it in the future?
I think if the right folks work with it and can, in a palatable and meaningful way, show its benefit, it'll stick around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I had another question.
Go ahead.
Dang it.
I even thought about saying, can I finish this thought? But then
you should finish your thought, Ryan.
Copper bullets. That's a hill I'm going to die on. I'll tell you what, pay a lot of attention to who's got coppers and if they're good or not. And 4 years ago, a lot of people like stupid copper bullets. Now I'm seeing the right people, right IG handles, large enough follower counts, shooting copper bullets.
I don't think anybody's
penny
said that.
bullets.
As somebody who has loaded metallic cartridges longer than I think you've been in the industry, yes. People have absolutely poo-pooed copper bullets.
Ryan is single-handedly trying to bring down inflation by melting pennies in his basement.
Very recently, and I'm talking very recently, a couple of big names in our industry have touted the merits of copper bullets, and I'm seeing the changes. And I couldn't be happier for it. I couldn't.
Believe it or not, Ryan, you're one of them now.
No, that's baloney.
All 5 people who listen to this podcast are going to disagree with you.
I just don't think that there's been like some like anti.
Certainly. No. Certainly.
Is the 1 in 3 twist going to make it a barrel burner at all?
Not real. Not at these velocities.
I mean, make bullet choice on, does this shoot well out of my rifle? Yes or no? Is it doing what I want it to do? Yes or no? Am I getting the results I want? Yes or no?
I argue that most folks don't do that.
Yeah, I'd agree with Ryan.
Which packaging is flashy? Which BC number is the highest?
That is important.
And that's about the depth and the breadth that they'll go into that ballistic study.
It's the same way people shop for beer now.
Which is?
Did the box grab my eye? What's the ABV?
You're deadpan serious.
Is it a conversation piece when I walk in the door, and is it going to get me lit for less money?
Yeah.
Mark, has it been that long since you've been removed from the frat days?
My litmus test, does it have a fish or a deer on it?
Add.
And if it's got both, Mark's having a good night. Yeah. Fish or a deer. That's funny. I like that about you.
Yeah, man, you gotta
You know what Mark likes?
You gotta make your selection.
He likes
somehow.
an old fashioned.
Yeah.
Do you do it with olives?
I like a whiskey old fashioned sweet with olives.
That's what it was. I don't know.
Which maybe
about
that doesn't even constitute an old fashioned
unique.
in a lot of Wisconsinites' eyes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, good times when Mark gets them olives.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's the best part.
it's gonna be a good night.
I asked my waiter one time at a restaurant for a gin drink, and he was like, "Let me get you a gin drink. You're gonna like it. It's called The Last Word." Came out in one of them little Marie Antoinette glasses, and it was all purple and stuff.
Thank you.
I loved it. It was good.
I like how everybody's got their own twist on what that kind of glass is called. I have a very different kind of name for it.
I don't even know what kind of glass you're talking about.
It was modeled after her.
It's ornate, shapely.
Leave it at that.
All right, there you have it, folks.
And there you have the 8.6 Black.
A lot of people asked for this.
Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've arrived.
We're here. We should probably. I was gonna say we should probably get one and shoot it because
This podcast single-handedly, I might be the guy to do it because this podcast single-handedly turned me around. I was kind of like, I'll just watch it for a while, but I might
Real quick,
do it.
picture, if you will. Winchester Model 70, classic. So short, control round feed action. I'm just going to throw a barrel length out there. You can disagree with it, Jim. 16. It's a steel barrel as opposed to a carbon.
they still make them that long.
Yeah, does it have enough flex when you stick it into the pole vault thing? And
It's a semi-heavy fluted barrel, tapered, but then it has a...
I hate flutes.
Really?
We
I'm not a
talked
big
about this.
flute
I
guy.
hate flutes.
I was just going for an aesthetic, but now I know you don't like them. So
You said it was a classic-looking gun, right?
yeah,
Get the flutes that...
get the
hell
flutes
out of
out of
there.
here.
Get the flute out of here.
Okay, then in that point, if you don't want the fluting, then it's a carbon barrel.
Oh, wait, no.
Okay, wait, it's
Yes.
steel.
Stop.
this is gonna be great.
A barrel. Just give
Okay,
me a
all right.
barrel.
I want that barrel, semi-heavy taper,
Yeah.
and then at the end, I want it shouldered up. So you know how your BLR's got that little weasel Don shoulder now?
Yeah.
That's what I want on the end of that barrel. So you have a nice shoulder to adhere to.
Okay,
When you
yeah.
put the suppressor on there. Stock will be synthetic for utility's sake.
Okay.
It's a working gun.
Yeah.
Stainless.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking a lighter color on the stock than a darker color.
Okay. Like an OD green.
You're losing me.
or-
No, lighter than that. I'm
Lighter
thinking
than that,
yeah, I
like
think like a black speckled tan, or a camo motif,
Okay.
but a lighter earth tone color.
Yeah.
I think that's a real sharp thing, and we do it up in 8.6 BLK. We land in the middle on twist rate, and we go with a 5.
Why not 1 and 4?
Why not the 3?
I don't know how much super duper subsonic Jim's going to shoot. Maybe more than less. Is it more than less?
Huh?
Then we're going 3. If you're going to shoot a lot of super duper subsonic, you're going 3.
Yeah, but the supers go well through the 1 and 3 too,
That's
right?
true. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, why not just
3 it is.
okay.
Gun is going to be nimble, light,
Right.
handy, short.
Correct.
Hammer.
Travis Baran. Hammer.
Yes. That's the build.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
For some reason, I just pictured you snowshoeing with it.
I like all that. Full white camo. Goggles.
It's gonna be hard to snowshoe with that long of a rifle. Gonna be dragging it in
12.5.
the snow.
12.5.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. I want it to terminate right where the stock terminates, basically.
Could do that.
Plus a little bit for the suppressor thread.
Do that. We could actually do that handily.
We've been going on forever now, but people are honestly they're headed back to they're getting ready for some kind of New Year's Eve party. What's the barrel length that they're shooting these out of? Is it like 8 inches, like the 300 Blackout, or is it like,
shoot like
or is
super
it like
duper
10,
super
12?
duper shorties to I've seen 18-inch data.
Ugh. 12.5 is a good tweener though, because you
Good
can still
tweener.
shoot. I'd be curious, we could still shoot the supers at
Fast enough.
fast enough.
Yeah. 2200.
Like, could you? Oh, 22.
pretty quick. Well, if we go down to the light fasts, like 160 TTSX, I think we can squeak some pretty gnarly velocity out of those.
Okay.
We'll make it 400.
Maybe 13 just to say.
A 400-yard gun out of this yet, James?
Yeah, that would be nice.
We can do that.
You know what's going on right now?
What's that?
We're stalling because we don't want these holiday cartridge talks to end.
No.
If only there was a way we could continue cartridge talks into the future.
It would never work.
No, people would hate it.
It's one of those times normally I would say like 10 likes if you'd like to see cartridge talks outside of the holiday thing, but I won't say that.
Well, last time we tried that, Mark still hasn't gotten a suppressor.
We've been doing
You're right.
plenty.
One at a time. I shan't be so greedy, James.
Yeah, let's not
I
get,
wonder
ahead,
how
let's
many
not
that-
get ahead of
I
ourselves.
wonder how many likes that's up to.
I haven't. I think it had enough.
10 more likes,
and
I'm just going to duct tape this water bottle onto the end of Mark's gun and get him arrested.
I was just thirsty.
It's just a water bottle holder. That's funny.
All right, guys. Should we close this one out?
Yeah.
I guess.
All right. Closing out the 8.6 Blackout. And if you're listening on to this podcast on the day of launch and you're heading to some evening festivities, don't get blacked out. Be safe out there. Have fun, everybody.
I see what we did there.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Bye.